Chaucer was probably influenced by tales popular at his time featuring supernatural characters and characters whose criminal behavior was corrected by unusual justice, like going on a quest instead of death for punishment for rape. Chaucer probably knew several analogies of this tale of the knight whose mistress gives him a difficult choice, and others which involve rapist knights. Chaucer may have also been influenced by Beowulf. In Chaucer's time, writers did not pay much attention to female issues, and there are only a few poems that talk about them. Beowulf and the Wife of Bath's Tale both talk about women's lives at that time, which is significant. In both stories, the king respected his queen. In the Wife of Bath's Tale, the king lets the queen decide the knight's fate. In Beowulf, Hrothgar loved his wife, Rithru. She served alcohol to the guests, and she says a speech thanking Beowulf for his kind deeds. Beowulf and the Wife of Bath's Tale are also similar because they both use alliteration. Beowulf contains a lot of alliteration throughout the epic. The Wife of Bath's Tale contains alliteration such as, and many a widow, since widows are so. John Gower's Tale of Florent may have influenced Chaucer. The Tale of Florent is about a horrible knight that must answer the question, what does a woman most desire? If he doesn't discover the answer in 1 year, he will be executed. The knight searches for a year but could not figure out the answer until he is about to get executed. On his way to his sentencing, an old woman offers him the answer in exchange for his hand in marriage. He accepts and gives the correct answer. What women want is to be dominant over their husbands. He marries a woman, and on their wedding night, he discovers that his wife has turned into a beautiful woman. But his wife tells him that he must decide if he wants her to be beautiful by day or beautiful by night. He cannot decide, so he leaves the choice up to her. Her evil stepmother placed a curse on her, so when her husband let her decide her own fate, her spell was broken. She will always be beautiful. The two live happily ever after. Chaucer was probably influenced by Tale of Florent because the tales are very similar. They both involve a terrible knight who is given the question, what do women most desire? They both answer that question with, what women most desire is to be dominant over their husbands. They both have to marry an ugly woman who gives them the answer. Then, when their husbands let them decide their own fate, they turn into beautiful women. Wise. This land was filled with fairies, and all those that wear a kerchief or headdress dare deny what I shall teach you.
The moral of this story is that true beauty lies within. Although the hag may be ugly on the outside, she has true beauty in her personality. She is trying to get the point across to the knight that no matter how some women look, they still deserve to be obeyed in all things by their husbands. In the end, the knight learns his lesson because when asked if the hag should be beautiful and not faithful or ugly and faithful, he tells her the choice is in her hands. He is considering the hag's desires, which in turn benefits both the knight and the hag as they live happily ever after.
The Wife of Bath's Tale is provocative and intriguing. She uses a noble class as the main class character in the story, but it includes a peasant hag as well. Because the story does include such ghastly sexual innuendos such as rape and the idea of women dominating their lovers, I do believe this story could have a chance at winning the bet. It is also mystical, placed into the very earliest times of England, when fairies and magic were prominent in the land. The Wife of Bath uses great use of her imagination, which, as we all know thanks to Nabokov, is essential in any good story. If that doesn't win it for her, she has the element of surprise going for her, because personally, I don't believe anybody in the 14th century would have expected this type of talk from a lady, much less a lady who has been through marriage 5 times. I think it is safe to say that all the pilgrims will feel the same way. I guess it goes to show you that you should not judge a book by its cover, because you never know what anybody has in store. Alright, so The Canterbury Tales is a story written in the 14th century. Chaucer was one of the first people to not only pay attention to, the noble class, the higher-ups in society, but also people who were lower on the class system, peasants, women as well. One of his most outstanding, inspiring characters we've come to find is the Wife of Bath. She's a very open and straightforward woman. she impresses not only the audience with these traits, but the other pilgrims, other characters in the story as well. So she believes that it's very important for a woman to know how to satisfy her man or her lover, and she knows how to control them and kind of make them have less power. But these favors that she does for them, she expects them in return as well, which is interesting because in many cases in the Anglo-Saxon time, men treated women more as objects and did not respect them as much. So much so, in fact, that they actually came up with something called wergild, meaning man price, so that if a man raped a woman, killed somebody, they would just pay it off. So men of nobility did not really have to worry about any of their crimes or bad doings, just as long as they could pay it off. So that brings us to this story, to the wife of Bath. Her tale starts off with a knight raping a woman, and the king is like, you know what, knight has to die. We can't have people just raping everyone in our society. And the queen actually makes the final decision to let the knight live as long as he can tell her what it is a woman desires most. Once again, going back to the idea of feminism that the wife of Bath really portrays. It's just kind of an outstanding thing to think about, Chaucer writing this in the 14th century. It really is just a huge feminist lens going on right there. And saying that women should have decisions in their life and their careers as well as men.